Have you been defamed or harassed by an anonymous perpetrator on the internet and you want to identify them to hold them liable for their actions? By the end of this video, you will learn the proven steps to take to unmask anonymous online defamers and harassers. Hi, I'm Christina Williams, an attorney here at Minc Law, the nation's leading law firm when it comes to dealing with identifying anonymous internet users responsible for online defamation and harassment. We know from experience that perpetrators often use anonymous accounts or pseudonyms to try and avoid responsibility for their actions. Victims of anonymous attacks can find themselves frustrated and overwhelmed. You don't know what, if anything, you can do to make the harm to your personal or professional reputation stop. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how a lawsuit can be used to identify anonymous online perpetrators so that you can bring a stop to the harmful conduct, repair your online reputation, and hold the perpetrators accountable. You will also learn common situations where you may need to identify an anonymous poster, if and how you can sue an anonymous online perpetrator, and what the chances are of actually identifying an anonymous online defamer or harasser. There are several common situations where you may need to identify an anonymous internet poster. For example, if you are a business who has received many fake one-star reviews within a short period of time, you may wish to find out who is behind the conduct so you can establish that the reviews are fake and seek their removal. Likewise, you may need to initiate the unmasking process if you are the subject of false claims of sexual harassment and assault, and the allegations are made by an anonymous internet user on a social media platform, such as Twitter. If you do not know who posted the false information about you, it may be necessary to file a lawsuit so you can identify the speaker and disprove the allegations once and for all. These are just a few of the common situations where unmasking an anonymous poster may be the best or only course of action to make the defamation or harassment stop. Other situations can include anonymous internet defamation, such as fake consumer reviews and complaints, or anonymous online harassment, such as blackmail, revenge porn, or online impersonation. A common question that many people have when faced with anonymous internet attacks, including defamation and harassment, is whether it's even possible to sue the anonymous person. The answer to this question is yes. When dealing with situations where you do not know the identity of the person posting the harmful content, or you're not 100% sure of the poster's identity and need evidence to confirm the same, you can file what is known as a John Doe lawsuit. In this type of lawsuit, the defendant named in the complaint will be John Doe, and once you have secured the relevant evidence to identify the perpetrator, you can amend your complaint and substitute the real person for John Doe. Of course, the ability to file such a lawsuit is subject to the same conditions applicable to a lawsuit against a known or named party. For example, you must have a valid legal claim that will stand up to procedural and substantive tests courts apply in civil suits generally. This also includes tests for determining whether the speech is entitled to First Amendment protection. Anonymous online speech, as with all other speech, is entitled to protection under the First Amendment, but the extent of that protection will still depend upon the nature of the speech involved. Defamatory statements are generally not protected, regardless of whether or not they are posted anonymously online. Now that you know you can sue an anonymous perpetrator, I'll explain how you go about doing so. Generally, there are two basic steps to identifying anonymous online posters. 1, preparing and filing a complaint, and 2, conducting discovery to secure the data necessary for the identification. The first step is simple. Work with your attorney to prepare your complaint against the anonymous poster and file the complaint with a court. Because the identity of the perpetrator is unknown, the defendant will be named in the complaint as John Doe. The second step in the unmasking process is initiating and conducting discovery to secure data from the relevant online platforms and internet service providers, or ISPs. This discovery is conducted through the issuance of subpoenas and typically starts with a subpoena to the platform where the harmful content is posted, such as Google, Facebook, or Twitter. A subpoena is a legal document compelling a person or entity to produce documents or tangible evidence in a legal proceeding. The initial subpoena will enable you to secure any information used by the anonymous user to create the offending account, such as the name of the account holder, email addresses, and/or phone numbers. Additionally, the data from the platform will include the IP addresses used to create and log into the account. While data from the platform itself may provide enough information to identify the perpetrator, you usually want to go one step further and use the IP data from the platform to issue a subpoena to the ISP. Once you have the relevant IP addresses, you can use free online tools like the website whatismyip.com to identify the internet service provider servicing those IP addresses. This is necessary to complete the next step, subpoenaing the ISP for its user data. Before issuing a subpoena to the ISP, you will need to file a motion with the court seeking an order, pursuant to what is commonly referred to as the Cable Privacy Act, requiring the ISP to disclose its users' identifying information. So long as you're pursuing a valid claim and your motion complies with all requirements set forth in the Cable Privacy Act, the motion should be granted. At this point, you will be able to issue your subpoena to the relevant ISPs. Once you have learned the identity of the perpetrator, you can amend your complaint to substitute that person for the John Doe defendant. You can also send a letter to the now unmasked perpetrator setting forth your demands to settle your claim. The approach you take after identification depends upon a variety of factors and should be discussed with your attorney. In cases where we have multiple data points to work with, the information is relatively fresh and not too outdated, and the perpetrator is not using VPNs or other IP blocking software, we can generally identify anonymous individuals 9 times out of 10. In cases where we are unable to identify the anonymous perpetrator, we may still be able to obtain a default judgment to have search engines de-index damaging content, web pages, and URLs. Some more experienced online perpetrators go out of their way to hide their identities. They may use things like fake email addresses or phone numbers to create a Google or Facebook account. This will prevent them from being immediately identified when data is produced by a platform pursuant to a subpoena. However, these posters fail to recognize that they are still leaving behind a digital footprint, and the IP data from the platform can lead to their ultimate identification. Since every IP address is owned by someone, an IP address will show you roughly where a platform was accessed and allow you to identify the internet service provider servicing those IP addresses. The ISP, unlike the platform itself, will almost certainly have valid contact information for its subscriber and more likely than not enable you to identify the perpetrator. So if you are the target of anonymous internet defamation or harassment and want to find out who is responsible for harming you, know that Minc Law can help. Every day we locate and unmask anonymous perpetrators and in the process restore our clients' reputations. Call us for a free consult at 216-373-7706 or head over to Minc Law and submit a contact form. This is Christina Williams from Minc Law. I look forward to hearing from you and we'll see you in the next video.